the missionary count definitely shot up after the call was made for sisters to go earlier on missions, and I mean for elders to go younger. So there was definitely a huge expanded missionary work in Hungary after that happened. And so the people needed it in Hungary. I mean, I'm sure they needed it all around the world, but Hungary definitely needed more missionaries, just because a lot of things are really weak there. We did a lot of less active work, and so there are a lot of people that had gotten baptized. I think in one of my areas there's like 300 or 400 people that were baptized, but only 30 or 40 came to church. So we worked with a lot of less actives. And the priesthood was really weak in most of the areas I served in. It was really tough for a lot of people. And I mean, you think about living in that kind of environment, and you know, it's a completely different culture, completely different values and things like that. And it's really tough for some people, especially right after baptism. You know, they're like, yeah, you know, they're really excited about it. They know they want to be a member of the church, you know, but it's just really hard for them. You know, law of chastity, the word of wisdom, those things are really tough for people because they just grew up with their parents doing that stuff. They grew up with their friends doing it. They never really cared. I remember talking to a lot of people that I would ask them if they ever thought about where they would go after this life, and a lot of them would say that they didn't even really think about it until I talked to them about it on the street or tracting or whatever. So it's just really, really interesting. You think about that, and you're really in a different place. And so, yeah, it's really hard for the members to, you know, get going. And there's not a whole lot of support within the branches just because there's not a whole lot of members. But the members that are there, they really, really try as hard as they can. But I mean, there's a lot of people that come to church, but then if you look at the people in each ward that actually really go out of their way to, you know, do member missionary work and all that stuff, it's really hard. But they do it. They do. And that was, I think, the best way that missionary work could be done in Hungary. I mean, tracting's great, streeting's great, but member missionary work was always just boom. Like whenever we would get somebody to teach from a member, they were always either super close to baptism or baptized. There was never really any dog programs. There's never anything like that. So member missionary work is something that has to improve in Hungary. I mean, anywhere in the world. It's really cool to talk to older missionaries because, for example, Dunói-város, that's one area that was huge back in the day. They call it the City of Gold. The missionaries call it the City of Gold because, I mean, if you went there, it was like, wow, you're in Duna, that's the best place you could be. The church members are super nice there. They're really cool, you know, they're strong. But I mean, that was what I think I talked to a missionary that served there in like the 90s, I think like 96 or 97. And it's not like that anymore. Dunói-város is one of the branches that's actually struggling the most right now in Hungary. Because it's up and down all the time. People move out. You know, people just can't take it anymore. So they stop coming to church, they become inactive. So it moves up and down a lot in Hungary. But it is getting to where they almost have a second stake. So work is growing really, really rapidly in Hungary as well. And it was really cool to see before I left. There was just so much happening. There's so much excitement in Hungary for the new stake and for, you know, possibly getting a temple really soon because they have that second stake. And once they have that second stake, they will have a new temple. And I think they almost have enough priesthood holders right now to have one. And so, I mean, they have to travel really far. They have to go all the way to Freiburg, Germany just to go to the temple and do endowments and stuff like that. So there's always planned trips to go to the temple and, you know, do baptisms for the dead and, you know, get your endowment, get married in the temple. Most people in Hungary, they get married and then they wait a year and then they go to Freiburg. That's usually what they do. So it's just a lot different. The church is doing really well in Hungary, and things are really, really picking up really fast.